Long ago and far away, I was married to a man who loved animals, and we had a dog, an Airedale Terrier, and he got me a little Siamese kitten. And they were the greatest of friends. They were just, the dog used to carry the cat around by the head, bounce around. It was really a delight to see them. Anyway, she was my cat, and he was his dog. But one morning, we were getting ready to go to school, and the cat came to the front door. The dog had gone off to do his duty. And the cat came to the front door of the house, and she sat there and just started talking. And not talking English, obviously, but talking cat talk. And I stood there looking at her, and I said to my husband, I said, something has happened to the dog. And he thought I was crazy, obviously, but I said, no, really, the cat is telling me that something has happened to the dog. So he went off, and we lived about 2 or 3 blocks from Grant Road. And he went down to Grant Road and found the dog had been hit by a car. And the dog was not killed, but was knocked unconscious by a car and lying in the street. And he carried the dog home. And that is my story about how animals communicate when they need to. And the dog lived happily ever after. And the cat died too young.
I was responsible for driving this in a dirt road, in a bus, a van to go pick up these kids. So being 21 on a dirt road and in a minibus, I had a lot of fun before I actually picked up the kids as I was driving, and I didn't own the van. So I was coming around the corner one time, and I had the car almost sideways, the van, around this corner in the dirt. And as I came round the corner, almost sideways, there in the middle of the road was a kangaroo. And it was hopping down the road. So it's hopping and looking back at me. And I'm going too fast, so I'm doing about 70 kilometers, 80 kilometers on a dirt road, which is like 60 miles on this dirt road. And he's looking at me like this, jumping, and I'm looking at him going, uh-oh. I said, I'm not going to crash the car. So I've jumped on the brakes, and the bus has gone forward. It's a front-wheel drive, so we're sliding on the brakes. I'm skidding, and the kangaroo's jumping like this. And the car is going, and the kangaroo's jumping. And the car gobbles up the kangaroo. And I hear it underneath the car. Underneath. And I'm like, oh, what am I doing? So I have to pull over, and there's a drainage trench on the side of the road. And I pull over. And then I put the car in reverse and drive backwards. And the kangaroo picks himself up, shakes the dust off, looks at me, and then jumps away.
Oh, man.
One time when we were coming home to my trailer that I used to live in, I was coming to the door where the door was bare, and I was barefoot, and I stepped on a scorpion.
Oh.
And it stung a lot. The end.
This was when I was in my early 20s, which was during the hippie times, you know. And I was one of those hippies in Northern California and living on the beach with other hippies. I heard about this wolf that had been tied up for a week, and nobody could get close to it because it was ferocious. It had been abandoned there. They were probably going to give it to the dog pound, you know. And so I went over there, summoning all my courage and my focus, and while he was in front, I was going like this, trying to eat anybody that came close to him. I had been studying Aikido, and so I came around and got right by where he had been tied, where he was tied up, and I sat there in my Buddha pose, thinking love, and he gave this one lash, trying to eat everybody, and he came around and he jumped in my lap.
Oh.
Yes. he turned out to be my best friend ever, and I learned so much from him. But unfortunately, he kept trying to eat people. he really was, he had a hard life. That's not natural to him. They're very, I learned so much about territory and integrity, because he had so much integrity, and his friendship was, you know, it just was so deep and so true. Our bus, it was in a bus, a great big bus with 6 other people, and he became good friends with them. But our bus broke down in Gila Bend, so he was tied up. They were tied up, and anybody that came close to the bus, he would try to eat. We found a native family there that really felt they needed him, and so I let somebody take him and give him to the family. And then in the meantime, we found a place to stay for a few days so while the truck got fixed. And it was on the other side of town. And this man took him for a walk, and the wolf found his way back to where we were. He came right up to me, and I think I'm going to cry. I told him, Smokey, you have to go with these people. And he just turned around and went, and that was the end of it. So somewhere his spirit and his progeny are here in Arizona. Gives me a special connection.
So we had our little trailer, and we went into the woods. And so when we were in the woods, it was raining. Of course it was raining. So we decided to go and sleep in our little trailer. And I had my little sister, and sometime in the middle of the night, my sister was like, I need to go pee. And I'm like, of course you do. So I took her outside, and it was raining, so we found a shade spot under a tree, and I waited, and all of a sudden I heard, Doggy! And I was like, Doggy, what? And there was a skunk, and my sister was going up to the skunk, and I was like, wait, no! And it lifted its tail, and I went, and that is the end of that story. It ends with the 5 cans of tomato soup and tomato sauce. That's the end.
So when I was about 3rd grade, so I grew up in this little town called Alfredo, Arizona. Most people don't know what it is. I'd rather not try and explain. Anyway, my brother Jesse and I, and our friend Tyrell, who are both now Marines, we were little boys walking through the alley, just an empty lot really, and there's this rock crawler behind a big old oak tree, and he was in the pit, so I didn't see, there's also no sun. And on top of it, it was on an excessively long chain, right? So it doesn't go after my brother Jesse, it doesn't go after Tyrell, it goes after me. Now I'm not saying I'd wish it had gone after them, because I don't. But basically, it just jumped out like a lightning and just grabbed me by my left thigh, tore from right above my knee, up right below my, and all day ham. It was basically, and on top of that, this is my first thing is a test because I was afraid of it. So obviously I was taken out with my actual crippled leg, if you will. I pushed myself away and then kicked it in the snout and looked it straight in the eyes. Well, it turns out when the sheriff went to go make sure it's shots and all that stuff, it wasn't there. I guess one of our neighbors saw someone put in a truck and head out towards Douglas. So that's pretty much my story. And to this day, I still don't fear dogs. Actually, they probably fear me, and I just look at them and they want to fight, and it's like, are you sure you want to fight me, buddy? So that's pretty much my story.